Last August, I picked just over 60 pounds of zucchini and yellow squash off 3 plants in one corner of my garden. The summer before, same spot, same varieties, I barely got 18 pounds before the plants collapsed into a yellow, mildew-covered mess by the 4th of July. The soil hadn't changed, the seed packet hadn't changed. The only thing that changed was where I pointed the hose, and that one shift took my squash from a fungus-ridden disappointment to the most productive patch in my entire garden. Here's what's going to surprise you. The mistake quietly killing most home gardeners' squash harvest right now isn't too much water, and it isn't too little. It's something far more specific, hiding in plain sight, and once you see it, you'll spot it in nearly every backyard garden on your street. Most people aim the hose straight down into the crown of the plant, that dense little crater where all the leaf stems meet the main stalk, every single evening, and they think they're being thorough. They're not. They're soaking the single most disease-prone spot on the entire plant night after night and setting up almost every squash problem you can name, from powdery mildew to sudden plant collapse to blossoms that drop before they ever become fruit. Today, I'm going to show you exactly where the water should go instead, how deep, how often, and the specific technique that turned my squash patch around. And stick around to the end, because I'm going to share a sunken jug trick that delivers water straight to the root zone overnight without ever touching that vulnerable crown. So let me back up. For years, I watered my squash the way I watered everything else in the garden. An evening splash with the hose, right over the top of the plant, leaves and all. The foliage looked lush in June. By late July, I had the same pattern every season. White powdery patches climbing up the leaves, a plant that looked fine on Monday and collapsed by Friday, female flowers that opened, looked promising, and then shriveled and fell off without ever swelling into fruit. I blamed the humidity. I blamed bad luck. I blamed the variety. None of that was really it. Here's the part nobody explains clearly. A squash plant actually runs 2 root systems at once. Right near the surface, in the top 6 to 8 inches of soil, it spreads a wide, fast-feeding network of roots that pulls in moisture and nutrients quickly. But if you encourage it correctly, the plant also sends down a genuine taproot, sometimes 18 to 24 inches deep, that gives it real drought resilience later in the season. Which root system your plant relies on depends almost entirely on how you water it. Nightly splashes that only ever wet the top inch or two keep the plant completely dependent on that shallow network. It never has a reason to dig down. And shallow-rooted squash dry out fast, swing between soaked and parched, and that swing is exactly what triggers blossom drop, bitter-tasting fruit, and the misshapen, pinched squash you sometimes see at the blossom end. Meanwhile, every time water lands directly in that crown or splashes up onto the leaves, it sits there in the cracks and folds of the plant for hours. That moisture is exactly what powdery mildew spores and crown rot organisms are waiting for. You're not just wasting water, you're hand-delivering disease to the one spot that can take the whole plant down. So here's the fix, and it's simpler than you'd think. First, stop guessing and start checking. Push a finger straight down into the soil, about 6 inches out from the base of the plant, not against the stem. If it's cool and holds together when you pull your finger out, you're fine. If it's dry and crumbly down to your second knuckle, it's time to water. Skip the daily ritual entirely and water on that condition instead. When you do water, water like you mean it. For an established squash plant, that's roughly 1 to 2 gallons, delivered slowly, directly onto the soil 6 to 10 inches out from the crown, not the crown itself. I run a hose on a slow trickle, or use a soaker hose laid in a ring around the plant, never a sprinkler, and let it soak in for several minutes until it's gone down a solid 6 to 8 inches. In the early weeks after transplanting, do this every 2 to 3 days while the root system is still small. Once the plant is established and fruiting, stretch that out to once or twice a week, depending on heat, always checking the soil first rather than watering on autopilot. And always water in the morning, so any splash on the leaves has the whole day to dry before evening, when cool, damp conditions let mildew spores really take hold. If this is helping so far, go ahead and subscribe and drop a comment with the squash problem that's been giving you the most trouble this season. I read every one. The next move is mulch. Once your squash is established and the soil has warmed, lay down 2 to 3 inches of straw or shredded leaves around the plant, keeping it a couple of inches clear of the crown itself. Mulch can cut surface evaporation dramatically, which means steadier moisture underground and far less temptation to grab the hose every evening out of habit. It also keeps soil from splashing up onto the lowest leaves, which is another quiet source of fungal trouble. As the season moves on, your watering should shift too. Heavy summer heat calls for checking the soil every couple of days, never switching back to a light daily sprinkle. And here's a detail almost nobody mentions. Once your fruit is sizing up and close to harvest, ease back slightly on watering rather than soaking heavily right before picking. A sudden, heavy soak late in fruit development is a common overlooked cause of soft rot right where the fruit meets the stem. Learn to read the plant itself. Big squash leaves naturally droop in the early afternoon heat, even when perfectly watered, and that's normal. They perk back up by evening. What's not normal is a plant that's still limp at 7 in the morning. That's genuine thirst. And here's the twist that catches people off guard. An overwatered squash plant can wilt too, because soggy, oxygen-starved roots can't actually pull up the water sitting right next to them. If the soil is already wet and the plant is still drooping, with a soft or mushy stem at the base, you've overdone it, not underdone it. Back off and let it dry out. Now, the bonus I promised. Take a clean gallon jug, poke 6 to 8 small holes around the bottom, and bury it in the soil 8 to 10 inches from the crown, with just the neck above ground. Fill it whenever you water instead of running the hose. The water seeps out slowly and directly into the root zone for hours, with nothing touching the crown or leaves. I run 1 jug per plant for compact bush varieties and 2 for sprawling vining types like butternut. If you take one thing from today, let it be this. It was never about how much water your squash gets. It's about keeping that water away from the crown and giving the roots a reason to grow deep. That's the whole shift, and it's the difference between a plant that limps through July and one that buries you in squash all the way to frost.